Well, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is Mustafa, and this is Mustafa's Bootcamp. Now, this video today is going to be the same principle that everyone would use, no matter if you're a Christian or a Muslim giving dawah, or if you're a Christian witnessing to a person. You use these same 11 principles I'm going to give you. You can adapt them in either way, and you could probably add 25 more to this list. But this is your basic. I'm just going to give you the basic tools so you can accomplish your work that you need to do. So as we look at this today, if you're from a Muslim country, you probably never had to be, a witness, because there were only Muslims and you didn't have to try to present Islam to anybody. But now that you're in the United States and you're around people, and you're around people probably that you care a lot about, you got family, you got friends, you got extended people that you work with and on the job and so forth, and you'd like to have them share in Islam just like you. It's the right path. Of course, Christians say that Christianity is the right path, so we all have that path to follow, and I'm not telling you which one to go down. But here's in this video, I'm going to tell you on how to give dawah. Now, you might call it witnessing. And 11 principles. So let's get started. Number one is you got to be patient. You have to be patient when you work with people, and remember, culture. They don't share the same culture as you do. And that's probably a fact. If you came from any other country, the culture is wildly, in some instances, different. Now, people are basically the same. People are basically the same. They know they need to worship. Most people. I was watching a science program the other day, and they were talking about genetics, and they were saying that there's a God gene that they had thought they isolated, and this gene is in your DNA and your makeup, and we have a propensity to worship. Now, we want to worship the right things. We don't want to worship like they did in ancient times, 360 gods. We got one God, and we believe that. Christians, you got one God, and I hope you believe that. Okay, so number one, you got to be patient. You just can't rush into there and stumble into there and cause a big scene, and then when you're not effective, you run off. That's a poor way to do witnessing of any kind. You're not presenting Islam in a good way that way. I think the best way is number two, you build a friendship. Now, that's important. No matter what you do, you build a friendship with people. And on the job, wherever you work, you make friends. Or you got acquaintances at least, but you got people you know. And you know some of their stories. You know their needs. These people become friends generally, and that's an important part. It's a basis of witness, is to build a friendship. I say when you present whatever it is that you're going to present, whether it's Islam or whether it's Christianity or Judaism, you have to find common beliefs. And when you look at Islam, what is the common belief with Islam? I give you a couple of them right off the top of my head. One common belief is in one God. Both Christians and Muslims believe in one God. Now, there may be some variation in that belief, and we know that that's a fact, but one God is what they're believing. And they believe in Jesus. And Muslims, we believe in Jesus, and in fact, it's stated that you can't be a Muslim unless you believe in Jesus. So there's some differences in what we believe as a Muslim in Jesus, but we believe in Jesus. So you have some common ground to get a conversation started, and you got to listen you got to listen. The third one, or fourth one, is to actually listen more than you speak. Uh, it's really bad because people want to talk and they'll tell you their whole life story if you'll just stop and listen and not interrupt all the time and not try to press your agenda. Just stop and listen and be attentive. And don't be phony about it. I mean, if you're phony about it, people pick up onto that right away, and they know that. So number 4, you got to listen more than you speak. That's a good practice for anything. Even in school, if you're going to learn or whatever you do on a job, instead of running your mouth, you need to listen and get the facts straight and find out what's going on first. Here's a big one, number 5, and I know people, and I've been witnessing for years in the Christianity and in the Christian movement, and the big one is people want to argue. They want to argue, and you want to argue your point, and you got to stray away from that. You can't be doing that arguing. If something controversial comes up, how about switching the subject to something that you agree on, or switching the subject altogether and get off that path, because that's only going to lead to a problem when you start to argue with people that you're trying to present something to. So don't argue. Don't try to argue your point. That's the worst thing you can do. And I want you to remember that, because that's a trap that everybody falls into. Believe me, that is a trap, and people go head over heels down that stairwell of arguing. Now, number 6. Number 6 is, be genuinely interested. When people talk to you, do you ever talk to somebody and, you're trying to present something to them or tell them something, and they're on the phone, or they're doing something, they're writing, or they're distracted in some kind of way. If you act like that, I guarantee you're not going to get anywhere, not with Americans. Now, maybe that works in some other countries. I don't know, because I haven't been there. But that won't work with Americans, being distracted. Number 7, and we're going to fly through these things, and you can play the video over and over until you get them, or you can record the video, you can do what you want. But I want you to get these principles down in your head, because it's the basis. It's basic. That's all it is, basic. A lot of it seems like, well, Brother Mustafa, that's common sense. Well, it is. But why do people lose that common sense generally when they talk to somebody? You got to keep these things in your mind. That's the only way. So I think number 7 would be to share an experience that you had. Sharing a religious experience. You're trying to get somebody interested in what you believe, and you ought to be able to make it interesting for them. You ought to be a Muslim because, and I think that you would benefit by, and I mean, you can go on and on with the way that you can present that, but you need to be sharing some kind of a religious experience, something that happened to you. If you're an American that converted to Islam, you got a lot of experiences. I mean, you got a whole testimony there. You weren't just born into Islam like somebody who came here from another country, a Muslim country. You had to volitionally choose to be a Muslim, which is a lot different. So you can bring that up, and you can tell them your experience. And if you're listening to them, chances are they're going to listen to you. And that's just the way it is. That's the nature of a conversation, right? It's a mutual thing. Now, here's another big one. And people try to interest somebody in what they believe. And what they want to do is they want to knock down the other person's faith. And if you start off doing that, you're not going to get anywhere with anybody. They turned you off the minute that you started doing that. The minute you start to knock down their faith, they build up walls. They're going to protect whatever it is that they believe, and they're not going to listen to you. Brush you off, probably walk away, you probably will have to work really, really hard to get another chance to have a conversation with that person, because you've already started off on a bad foot. And I think you know what that means, a bad foot, because sometimes the first few minutes of somebody's conversation sets the tone of that conversation. I mean, that's what it's all about. And if you're going to start off belittling their faith, you're going to be in a big, big problem. Now, it doesn't. Even if they don't have a faith, you're going to belittle them because they don't have a faith. I mean, it's the same thing. So take special note of this, because this is a big one, a real big one. I went with people, and we were trying to train people, to go door to door. And it would seem like maybe 1 in 50 people would let you in the house and want to listen to what you had to say. And if you started this stuff right here and started to attack what they believe, maybe they had a picture, or maybe they had a statue, or maybe they were staunch Catholics, believing Catholics, and you started to knock down Catholicism, I mean, you're gonna have a bad rapport with these people, believe me. And they're going to want to get you out of the house as soon as they can. First thing that usually comes up in that situation is, oh, I forgot, I got something I got to do. And that's a good clue right there. They're tired of listening to you. All right? Because if they wanted to listen to you, they'd put off whatever they're going to do. Okay, don't belittle their faith or attack it. Number 9, know what you believe and what they believe. That's what we're trying to do here. We're going to go over first what others believe. I'm going to go over what I know best, and that's Christianity. And I'm going to tell you what Christians believe. You better know what Muslims believe. You better be pretty strong in your faith. You better be pretty knowledgeable in your faith, because they're going to ask you a lot of questions. And you got to have the answers. Now, don't worry if you don't have all the answers, because some questions can get really involved. And if you don't have all the answers, you can say, wait a minute, I really don't know about that, but I do know somebody who does know about it, and I'll get that and I'll get back with you. And there you got an open door to come back and have conversation again. So, number 10, we're getting to the end right here. We got 2 more. Number 10, don't be disappointed if they don't agree with you. I mean, that's all part of the program here. I mean, don't be disappointed if somebody doesn't agree with what you're saying. What you do is you try to move on and go to something that you can agree in. And then as time progresses, maybe you can go back to that subject and, they don't agree on it, but maybe you can come at it from a different angle, which is a good idea. I mean, don't present it the same way you did. Come back at a different angle, and you can probably present that later. But get away from it if they're not agreeing right away. I mean, move on to something else. Because you don't want to rub people the wrong way. I guess that's the word, that's the phrase in English, rub people the wrong way. You're surely going to rub them the wrong way if you keep doggedly on the same subject that they're not interested in and don't like, and they don't want to hear it. So find out another way to present it. Get to know your people that you're talking to. Get to know, if they're a Christian, get to know them. Know what they do. Ask them about their job, their employment, their family. People always like to talk about their family. So get off the subject real quick on that. And don't be disappointed. You always have another opportunity, so long as you have a dialogue back and forth. Okay, now the last one. I really don't want you to give up. You know what I'm saying? This is not a race. They tell me that about YouTube. This is not a race. This is a marathon. So you got to stick with what you're doing. Just stick with it. Some things that can help you when you're giving this dialogue is material, written material. Try to leave some with them, because whereas they may not want to talk to you about a certain subject, they'll probably pick that up and read it, or the whole family in the house will look at it, hey, what was this? And oh, that Muslim guy came by today, or I met this guy at work and he's a Muslim and he gave me this tract right here, this literature, and asked me to read it. Somebody might read it. Somebody might get interested into it. Part of the church growth process, and I was probably familiar more than anything else with Elmer Towns, and Elmer Towns was a church growth professional. I won't say expert because we've been through that, but he was a professional, and they grew Thomas Road Baptist Church, and one of the ways they grew that church was through reaching members of families. The brother got saved, and then the sister got saved, and then the mom got saved, and then the father got saved. It's usually the fathers that hold out the longest. But anyway, they all came to the same belief. So you keep that in mind. You're reaching people, you're reaching entire families when you do that. So I think I just about gave you enough ammunition. I want you to go out there and pull the trigger on this ammo. And may Allah richly bless you, and may you prosper, and may you present Islam in a manner that's respectful, and in a manner like the Prophet would have presented it to people. Peace be upon him. So you keep these things in mind as you go through your daily. You're a witness even when you're not speaking on your job. If people know that you have some religious belief, they're watching you. I guarantee you, if you're at work, they're watching you. Hey, this guy says he's a Muslim and he's not praying. He's not giving his 5 prayers like he's supposed to do. They keep you under close scrutiny. And it can be hard on you sometimes. I guarantee you. It could be hard on you depending on where you work and what you do for a living. Me, what I did, it didn't bother me too much because part of the time I was in the truck and, I'm by myself, so I had time to study, I had time to do things on my own, and that's the way I liked it, after getting totally burnt out in the ministry. But anyway, may Allah richly bless you, may you prosper, may you be safe at this time, that there's a global pandemic, they say, going about. So may you be safe. Take all the precautions, do all the things that you can do, and have a blessed day, insha'Allah. Assalamu alaikum, brothers.